Now you're working on your proposals to improve Pierce College in some way, whether it's the physical campus or online instruction or student services or any other element of Pierce. I thought it would be fun to take a look at a proposal for the redesign of LACMA, which is currently underway, by the way. Obviously, this proposal it's got a really high budget. I don't expect your proposal to be this slick, although if it is, that would be wonderful. But I want you to take several minutes to go through the website and analyze it. See how the team of people really, most likely, who have created the website, how they are using various rhetorical appeals, what strategies they're using, also how they're using things like design, font, layout, text, color, how they're playing with connotation versus denotation. So spend several minutes looking through the website. We're looking at the Building LACMA website, which is distinct from just the LACMA website. This is a website that's entirely dedicated to the redesign or the renovation of LACMA. So I want you to answer the following questions and answer in a few sentences each. Does the proposal define a need or a problem? Include a specific quote or example. So remember that your proposal has to define a problem, right? You don't want to have a solution in search of a problem. So ideally, LACMA, or the people who created this website, have explained why the current structure no longer works, right? So defining the problem. Include a specific quote or example from the website. Does the proposal show that the renovation is feasible? So it's really important if you're spending $750 million, probably more, to make it clear that this project is feasible, both financially and structurally, right? After all, that's a lot of money. You might also think about traffic issues, given the fact that this museum is right on Wilshire. It's also built on tar pits. So do the people who are creating who have created this website, are they explaining how this project is feasible? And obviously, you need to do the same thing in your proposal to improve Pierce. Does the proposal include visual and design elements like renderings, pie charts, infographics, audio, timelines, or maps? And give a specific example. So I would expect, or I would hope, that an art museum would have some really intriguing, compelling visuals. In your view, how effective is the proposal? Are you disappointed that LACMA is undergoing a renovation, or does the proposal make you change your mind? So do you think the proposal is effective? Why or why not? So in my opinion, this proposal is pretty effective, but I think there are some things that have been left out. For example, if we go back to that Toulmin model of argument, right, with claims and reasons or grounds and warrants, there are a lot of assumptions here. So you might take a look at some of the warrants in this proposal. Pick one of these. Either respond to a classmate's post by addressing that student by name, or include some rhetorical strategies or design ideas that you can emulate in your proposal to improve Pierce. So you either want to say something like, I like what Joe said in his post about the rendering on page or on this page of the website. Or I like what Sarah said about how they need to do a better job of explaining why this is financially feasible and who's paying for it and what the timeline is for getting the funds. Or you could talk about some of the rhetorical strategies. You could talk about how the website appeals to pathos when they have stakeholders in the community on video talking about why this redesign is so important. Or how the proposal appeals to logos when they include some statistics and they include some of the reasoning about why they need to redesign the structure of LACMA. While we're talking about proposals, I want to take a moment to kind of remind you of what we discussed last week about primary sources versus secondary sources and the difference between a source, a good source, a legitimate source, and a scholarly source. So if I were trying to find a primary source for LACMA, for this redesign, well, that primary source would be this website, right? Or a quotation from a curator at LACMA, right? That would be an example of a primary source. So the website that we're looking at, buildinglacma.org, that's a primary source. If I were trying to find a secondary source, so that's a source in which the writer is talking about the topic, in this case, talking about the redesign of LACMA, but it's not from a primary source, right? It's not a testimony. Maybe it's a journalist's opinion. It's an op-ed about LACMA, something like that. I might use something like this article I found through Academic Search Complete. LA's Museum for Nobody. That is a great source, right? It's a perfectly legitimate source, but it's an opinion source. So it would be an outside source, a secondary source, but not really a scholarly source. If I wanted to find a scholarly source about the redesign of LACMA, I might use those same databases, but look for an article that appeared in a journal, or I could just filter it to only give me peer-reviewed scholarly sources. And I might find this source that was originally published in an academic journal about project art in contemporary art museums, right? This would be a peer-reviewed source. So again, this would be my primary source. And then I have two secondary sources. I have this scholarly source, and then I have this perfectly legitimate but not scholarly source right here. You don't have to do anything with that right now. I just thought it would be a good opportunity to explain the difference between a primary source and the two types of secondary sources.